Hello friends, this is Raman with your market analysis for the week of September 7th to 11th. Just a quick note before we get started, this is for educational purposes only. I'm not a registered investment advisor. If you have any questions about your own individual investing needs, I suggest you go talk to a registered investment advisor. For today's session, we'll take a look at the economic news to start off with, then we'll jump into technical analysis, and finally wrap it up with commitment of traders data. So let's get started. We're looking at our economic calendar here on the Forex Factory website. Starting the week off, the European session, we don't have any critical news coming out. Going into the US session, we have a bank holiday, and Canada has a bank holiday as well. So I expect this to be kind of a sideways market, not a whole lot of activity expected during this time. Going into the Asian session, we have for Australian dollar, we have NAB business confidence. We have seen Australian dollar take quite a hit in the recent weeks. So this number will be important for the Australian dollar to see if we actually get some buyers coming in for that. We also have trade balance data coming out for China. We have China has or the Chinese economy has caused quite a stir in the markets over the recent weeks. So this will be an important data point for China here. Going into the European session here, again we have German trade balance, French trade balance. Not a lot of critical or red news here. We also have Halifax HPI number, which will be important for the British pound. And then going into the US session, nothing major here either. Into the Asian session, we have Westpac consumer sentiment, which will also be a good number for, or something to keep an eye out for, the Australian dollar. And then important thing here will be the RBA Deputy Governor's speech. This is where the market will be looking to get some indication of how the bank is looking at viewing the economic and current economic conditions and everything that's been going on in the markets with the Chinese economy declining and Australian dollar falling with the fall in commodity prices as well. So market will be paying attention to this statement. So this is something to keep an eye on at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, September the 8th. Going into Wednesday, we have manufacturing production numbers coming out for pound. Pound has also taken has gone down over the last few weeks, so something to keep an eye on to see if we get any positive data out of the pound. We also have RBA Assistant Governor speaking. Again, this is not as important as this speech here on Tuesday. However, something to keep an eye on. Going into the US session here, we have for Canadian dollar at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, we have building permits, and then at 10 a.m. we have Bank of Canada rate statement and overnight rate. The overnight rate is not expected to drop. However, market will be looking to the rate statement to see again how the bank is viewing the current situations. We have seen the oil fall a fair bit over the last few weeks, and as we have seen, Canadian dollar has fallen right alongside with the oil. So market will be keeping an eye on this Bank of Canada rate statement, and this becomes a very important piece of data coming out. And then we also have GDP estimate for the pound and job openings for the US dollar here. And then going into the Asian session, we have official cash rate for New Zealand dollar and the rate statement here as well. So the market is expecting the rate to be cut from 3% to be cut quarter point 0.25% here. And this is due to the, again, just like Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar has taken quite a hit. The economy is going down, the commodities are going down, dairy prices have been affected, and because of that the market is expecting this rate cut for the New Zealand dollar. And if we do see a rate cut, we would expect the New Zealand dollar to fall based on this cut. At 5:05 p.m. Eastern, we have a press conference. Again, market will be looking for the commentary around the cash rate and the statement here. And then further into the Asian session, we have employment change data for Australian dollars and unemployment rate for Australian dollar here, or Australia, which will also be important numbers. And then we have CPI inflation data for China coming up at 9:30 p.m. Eastern as well. Going into Thursday, we have MPC official bank rate votes and official bank rate. The bank rate is not expected to change. However, last time we had heard Governor Carney talking about potential increase in interest rate early into 2016. However, the last time we saw the official bank rate votes, they remain the same. And this time, so the market will be looking to see if there is further change in these votes. Since then, we have seen some negative data come out of the pound, and pound has not been the has not benefited from the risk situation that we have seen going on, that euro had benefited. So the tone for the pound is still kind of dovish. However, the market will be looking to see what comes out here, if there is any change in the votes. If there is change in the votes, that would indicate that perhaps we may see an increase in the bank rate. So keep an eye on that. Then we have the MPC rate statement, again, something to keep an eye out for. At 8:30 a.m. Eastern into the U.S. session, we have unemployment claims coming out for the U.S. And then we also have the crude oil inventories at 11 a.m. Oil has been impacting the Canadian dollar a fair bit, so we will keep an eye on the oil if in order to trade our Canadian dollar here. On Friday, we have into the US session, we have PPI number and then core PPI number, and also at 10 a.m. Eastern, we have preliminary consumer sentiment numbers coming out. And then we have on Saturday, we have Eurogroup meetings. So overall, not a ton of data coming out as we have seen in the recent weeks. However, there are some important data points that we want to be aware of as we trade this week. So now let's take a look at our technical analysis. We will start that off with our Euro US dollar here. We saw last week, based on the statement from Draghi, we saw a drop in euro. Euro had been benefiting from risk flows into the into the euro, as we saw US dollar going down. We saw this big move up because of that, and now we saw the retracement of this week. Last week, after the initial last week, we saw euro take a hit again because of the dovish comments that Draghi made in his speech. And also on non-farm payroll, we saw very neutral sort of candle on the daily close here. We saw euro go up and then go down. However, it did not break the low of this the previous low here. So based on the candle close, that was a very neutral candle close. There was a big long wick to the upside and also wick to the downside. So now we need to see euro move out of this. Based on this, I am neutral to bearish on euro based on the comments from Draghi. That would put a bearish sentiment towards euro. However, this was also non-farm payroll was a mixed number, and so the September rate hike is not off the table. Non-farm payroll was the last data point that comes out before that decision is made. However, the market is not, majority of the market participants are not expecting a rate hike in September. So based on that, we'll have to see how it goes. It's I would say neutral to bearish at this point for euro. In terms of our levels that we'd be looking at, I have this 1080 level marked as a positive, as a support level here. We need to see the price hold below this level to move further down. And then this 1017 level, which is our previous low, so we would expect the market to come and test this. So this is a support level here, and also the 108.50 is also an important support level. In terms of the resistance here, this 1214 number, which was the range that the market was trading in before we saw the breakout here. So this will be an important resistance point here. And then up here we have I have 1300 mark, which will be again an important resistance point. And even potentially if we move it up slightly here, this 1320, so 1300 or 1320 number would be an important resistance area. And then this one here, 1400, will be another resistance point. So we have few key resistance areas and support areas. Again, the market traded within this range on Friday, so we would need to see the market go and hold either below for a further move to the downside here, or we would need to see it hold above for a move up into these resistance levels. Let's take a look at our British pound here. We'll look at the daily chart here. Like I mentioned before, British pound has been going just one way. We saw it come and test the previous low here, and now this was a very strong close to the downside. So based on this, I'm still bearish on pound. And in terms of the levels that we are looking at, the support level here, this previous swing low will be an important number. So 150.90 number would be important, and below that this is a nice support and resistance area. Let me just draw this here. So 149.95, so 150 level will be important, and then further down here 147.80 level is also an important support area. In terms of a resistance, we have seen last week we saw market hold. It broke below this previous low, and it held below the previous low, moving further down. So this week, in terms of our resistance, this 53.20 is an important resistance area. If we see market price trading above this, we may see price go up higher. So this will be so 53.20 is an important number, and then up here 54.33 or 30 level is an important resistance level as well. Now let's move on to New Zealand dollar. For the New Zealand dollar, again, it has been, we saw market found support here and started moving up. However, then we saw a big drop in New Zealand dollar based on the non-farm payroll here, which gave it a very bearish tone. So for this week, I am bearish on New Zealand dollar. We could even see price come down and start moving into these levels. We saw this previous low point formed here, and we may see market or price move back into these levels again. In terms of support and resistance, I have this 0.60 6236 level marked here for a support, and then we have a 6200 level as a support area here as well, and then 6120, which is our previous low here. Those are the three support areas. In terms of the resistance, we have seen the market hold below 63.12 area, which was the previous low, and now if it stays below, we would expect the market to come down. The daily close on Friday was very strong, bearish close, so the tone would be more bearish. However, if it goes back and holds above this 63.12 level, we can expect the market to start moving upwards, and we may see the move upwards here. And in that case, the 6400 remains our resistance level here. If it breaks above, then we may see further flows back to this level here, 6500. So 6500 is an important resistance area. Then 6400 or 6415 area is important here as well. Let's take a look at the Australian dollar. Australian dollar, we have seen a lot of selling into Australian dollar here as well. The market broke through this previous low here, broke through the range that it was trading in, and then since then it has just moved lower. Now on Friday we saw a big move to the downside, and we saw it come back, come down and test the 6900. It did bounce off of that level. However, it's still holding below the 6980 level that we had marked previously. So now the 6980 level becomes our resistance level, and then 6900 would be our support level. So the tone for Australian dollar would be bearish still. And in terms of support levels, we are looking at 6900. If the price comes in, holds below the 6900, we would be looking for a potential move to the downside. And in that case, put some of the targets that we could be looking at would be 6850, 6780 here, and further down 6630 area in terms of our potential targets or support levels. And in terms of a resistance, we are looking at the 6980 as our first resistance area. Then if the market holds above this, we'll be looking for the market to come and test this level here, which is 7070 level, which would mark our another resistance to the upside. And then we'll be looking for the market to trade in this range, and our and 7212 would be our next resistance area. So those are some of the support and resistance areas for Australian dollar. Let's move on to the Canadian dollar. Here we have seen the market's been going up, or US dollar has been going up against the Canadian dollar. Last week though, we saw market trade in a range. The price wasn't able to hold below this 3120 level, kept bounced off of that and didn't go above this 3350 level. So this range is still intact at this point. It's right in the middle of the range. So we're looking for more of the range bound trading, unless the price is able to hold break to either side, either to the low or to the high here, and is able to hold these levels. So in terms of our resistance level, I am looking at 3350 as our resistance level. We could see a short opportunity set up here. If the price holds above this level though, we'd be looking for a further move to the upside, and then we are looking at this 3380 level to the upside. And then let's see if we can find another support and resistance area. Here we go. So we have, if it breaks through this 3350 and price holds above this, we'll be looking at targets of 3380, 3440 area here, and then 3550. Those are some of the resistance levels to the upside. And then if the market comes down to test this 3120, we may see a bounce off of this level. However, if it does hold, the price holds below this level, then we're looking for moves towards the downside here. 130 level would be an important support area, as well as a 129 level, and then 12800. These are all important support areas. If the price does break to the downside, we'd expect the price to move down and have these as targets. So that was our technical analysis for these pairs. Now let's take a look at our commitment of traders data. We will start the analysis with the euro commitment of traders data. For the euro, we have seen it stays fairly neutral. Not much of a change in positions for anybody, leverage money, asset managers, or the dealers. They have stayed pretty flat. So this will be neutral for euro. Let's take a look at the British pound here. For the pound, we see dealer longs have gone up, and we see here leverage money they have decreased their longs. And as for the asset managers, the short positions have increased. So all of this points to a bearish outlook on the British pound here. Let's take a look at the Canadian dollar. For the Canadian dollar, we have, or the dollar CAD here, we have seen the dealer short positions going up. Asset manager positions have actually now, they have gone into the long positions. And as we can see, the leverage money, they have decreased their short positions as well. So in terms of the Canadian dollar, the we have seen a decrease in the short position. So I would say neutral to bullish on the Canadian dollar. So we may still see some range bound trading for the Canadian dollar. However, the outlook based on the commitment of traders data would be sorry, bullish to neutral. Let's take a look at New Zealand dollar here. For the New Zealand dollar, we see dealer long positions have gone up, and as we can see, leverage money short positions have increased, as well as the asset manager short positions have increased slightly. Overall, for the New Zealand dollar, this would mean a bearish outlook for New Zealand dollar. Let's take a look at Australian dollar here. For the Australian dollar, we have seen dealer positions have, long positions have decreased slightly. Asset manager long positions have increased. And as we can see for the leverage money, we see a slight increase in the short positions, or actually I should say slight decrease in the short positions. So this so like we saw with Canadian dollar, this puts a bit of a neutral tone on the Australian dollar. We had seen an increase in the short positions recently. However, now we are seeing a more of a neutral tone, and potentially looking in the coming weeks, we may start seeing a more of a bullish tone. However, at this point, just like Canadian dollar, it will be more to the neutral side for Australian dollar. It's not showing, according to the commitment of traders data, it's not showing a short. It's more of a long position, sorry, more of a neutral position here. That's it for our market analysis for this week. Again, this is Raman, founder of tradingwithvenus.com. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to email me at raman@tradingwithvenus.com. If you are struggling with your trading, if you would like to improve your trading and get the results that and become consistently profitable with your trading and get the results that you have always wanted with your trading, please email me. I would love to do a free mentoring session with you and help you work through some of the struggles that you may be facing. Again, this is Raman at tradingwithvenus.com with your market analysis for the week of September 7th to 11th. I will see you next week.